If you click this video, you might think the content creators and comp players sticking to the meta is ruining the game, or you might think the more casual side causes dribbling to get nerfed too much. But in all actuality, the real problem is 2K being disconnected. Now to start this video off, right here we have a pre-launch dev blog for NBA 2K21 current gen. Now we're not going to read this whole thing, I just want to highlight one specific line. We've always prided ourselves as being the most authentic basketball simulation on the market, and that will never change. But my issue is that the decisions that 2K does and doesn't make is kind of disingenuous to this very line that I'm showing. Now in NBA 2K21 current gen, there was a speed glitch where basically you could make your player glide across the court, and you could literally do it with your point guard, a lock, a center. It didn't matter. You could do it with any build possible. Now the thing about this is that anybody that knows, this speed glitch was found within like the first week of the game coming out, and it's one of the only things I feel in the recent years where the whole community, from guards, locks, centers, post scores, everybody agreed this move needed to be taken out the game. So after around 2 to 3 weeks, 2K finally ended up dropping a patch on September 28th, and right here you could see it says reduced first step acceleration, aka speed boost, out of certain dribble moves. So for those of you that don't know, what this patch did is that it reduced like your regular first step acceleration. So say you went between your legs and just wanted to go past your defender normally, that got nerfed, and the actual speed glitch that made you glide across the court was left in the game. So at that point, the unrealistic broken thing was made more important and almost a mandatory thing to be able to score in the game. And throughout this video, you're gonna see things that 2K does and doesn't do that goes away from the authentic basketball simulation that we've been led on to think is 2K's main goal. And I feel like this messes it up for the whole community, whether you're a dribbler or someone that isn't into all of the dribbling stuff. So let's quickly look at NBA 2K20 and 2K21 and just how many dribble moves they have. You could just quickly glance at that and just look at how they went from size up packages to SIG size ups, and they split the packages into basic size up packages and size up escapes. So now let's compare it to NBA 2K24, and at first glance off rip, you could tell 2K24 has way more dribble moves in comparison to 20 and 21. But there's two things I want to highlight. The first thing I want to highlight is what categories have the most amount of dribble moves. And when you look, it's the SIG size ups and the breakdowns. Now for those of you that don't really play 2K, your SIG size ups is basically when you just flick your right stick, so it'll just give you your crossover, your between the legs, behind the back without holding R2, just your standstill dribble moves. And then your breakdown is like your rhythm dribble, so if I just flick up, it'll give me this canned animation. Now these moves look good and all, but my issue with this is that regardless of how good they look, you cannot burst out of these moves at all. I can do all of this, but as soon as I drive to the rim, it's like my player's being held back and then he starts jogging to the rim, which basically means we have the most amount of dribble moves in the least effective category. And this right here is a big issue because say somebody wants to play realistic in the sense of they want to come down the court and be effective, they just want to do 1-2 moves and then go. You can't even do that in the way 2K has the game set up. Let's say right here I'm doing my breakdown and you see that little hezzy right there. Let's say the defender bites at this hezzy. If I go right, I can't even burst completely to the right. My player's too slow. And this burst that I'm talking about is a realistic thing in the sense of in real life, when you're trying to attack your defender, you have to do it at game speed. You're not going to try and go around your defender while jogging, or else they're going to be able to catch up to you.
The most unpredictable ball handlers are able to find those rhythms and then break them within a split second. Where we find that 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, where the defense then knows that that next move is coming.
And by 2K basically putting the most dribble moves into sig size ups and breakdowns, it's almost like they're helping the very thing that a lot of people complain about, which is, oh, I don't want to see somebody dribbling the ball for 24 seconds and whatnot. And I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that point. I'm not saying that, but it's more so the fact, why are all of these moves being put in if I can't do the effective thing, which is to burst out of it and get to the open space? That doesn't make sense. Now, before somebody goes in the comment section who plays 24 and says like, oh, but if you put on this certain dribble style, you'll be able to, you know, burst out of these moves a lot better. I already know this. If you put on Kyrie Irving dribble style, you know, you'll be able to burst out of your move a lot better. But the thing is, this is out of 22 dribble styles, there's no way that there's only one dribble style that effectively makes you burst as if you're playing at game speed and you're trying to score with like a sense of urgency. And if you've played 2K24, let's be realistic. If I just sit here doing my sig size up and just doing my rhythm dribble like this in front of the defender, we all know what's gonna happen. He's gonna come up to me and steal the ball. So not having the option for me to be able to, you know, bait the defender into reaching and then to burst out, so it has that element of you reach, I teach, the fact that that isn't incorporated into this makes this flawed and just doesn't make any sense. And now for the second thing I want to highlight, besides step backs and combo moves, what categories have the least amount of dribble moves? And you'll see that it's the dribble styles and the escape moves. Now, for those of you that are new to 2K or just don't know, your escape moves are essentially like your crossover and you're between the legs while holding R2, and these moves allow you to get that burst that I'm talking about, and it's what's gonna like make your speed booster badge pop up. And for your dribble styles, it basically determines how you run with the ball as you're dribbling, and it also determines how you're gonna run when you're going out of your sig size ups and your breakdown moves. So essentially, we have the least amount of moves for the most effective thing. Our escape moves and dribble styles will determine that burst that we get. All of the dribbling, size up, all of that's cool or whatever, but at the end of the day, actually taking your defender and going to the open spot is the most effective and important part of scoring the ball.
Shift, 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 shift. When I go, I'm out and it's live to the bucket, all right? I don't want to see this in what we're just working on, and then I come up and I just say and go live. All right, so try to apply what we're just working on.
So my solution for this is 2K could do one of these two things that I'm about to suggest, or both of them. And the first thing that I would suggest is to let us be able to burst effectively out of these size ups and these breakdowns, because right now they're currently in the game just for show, but they're not effectively getting us open, to be very honest. The second thing I would suggest is to focus on adding and fine-tuning the dribble styles and the escape moves, because those are the moves that actually get us open and effectively put us into our openings as a ball handler. And the two things I highlighted is the reason why everyone uses the same moves. There's a reason why I showed the 21 dribble moves, and I showed this is when they introduced the sig size ups. I believe 21 is where like meta became a big thing, and 20 was probably the last year where you would see a variety of different builds and play styles. After that, you relatively see the same thing, and that's when they introduced sig size ups. And another thing I want to speak on is I feel like some of the things that 2K does to, like, you know, kind of nerf a certain play style, as in like the left writing behind the screens and things like that, I feel like there definitely was things that did directly nerf that. But when it comes to other things like 21 current gen, when they nerf down the speed boosting, when they add adrenaline bars, or like at the beginning of the year when they say, you know, there's going to be a bigger stamina hit, that doesn't only affect play shots, that affects every play style, whether you're a point forward, a play shot, a slasher, somebody that doesn't even dribble a lot. Regardless or not, dribbling is essential to the game of basketball, regardless of who you are. If you're a slasher that doesn't know how to do a single combo, you need to dribble the ball to drive to the basket. So when you continuously do nerfs to dribbling that affects everybody, you're just lowering down the experience for every playstyle. And this goes into my next point, that this left-right meta and the over dribbling that a lot of people complain about, it's not necessarily the offense itself that made it so superior. It's more so the lack of defense within the game that made it superior. And the reason why I say that, let's take 21 and 22 and use those as an example. Those were offensive heavy games, but the reason why it was so offensive heavy was because as a defender, there was two main problems. It was one, the bumping. So say for example, if someone's going left, right over and over, and I play his right and he runs right and he runs into me, sometimes I won't get a bump. He'll just glide through my body and he'll, basically get a bailout even though I played good defense. That was the first problem. And the second problem is the sliding. Say somebody's dribbling going left, right, say they go back left, it's instantaneous. They could go right and then instantaneously go back left. But as a defender, if you're going right and then you move your stick to go left, your player might slide a little bit and then start going left, which gives the offensive player like a step ahead of you. And those two things defensively needed to be fixed in order for that sort of play style, to be a lot harder to do, rather than just nerfing offense. Because when they nerfed offense entirely, not just for the play shot meta that a lot of people complain about. And one of the biggest effects I feel like has happened due to the dribbling engine changing and certain nerfs happening is that for the casual or average 2K player, dribbling is just way too hard for them. And it's not even on some, I'm talking about the L2 cancel and stuff like that. That's definitely going to be hard for them. But even just simply taking an open lane, they have to know too much. So even if they beat a defender, the defender reaches and they try and burst and try and take that open lane, they gotta know that they should probably have on Kyrie Irving dribble style. Oh, and also if they run out of a size up, they can't run fast unless they do a same side hezzy then run. Oh, and also if I'm speed boosting, I have to hold R2, and when I move my left stick, I have to do it diagonal up instead of whatever direction like the old games. It's just so much just for you to be able to take an open lane effectively. Now I understand having a skill gap, but the game is to a point where the entry level for a regular person is just not there. And the last thing that desperately needs to be fixed is the input delay when you press a button. There's plenty of Twitter clips that have also went viral. If you just flick your right stick to do a crossover, you might flick your right stick and then the move happens a second and a half later, and that right there causes problems. And especially when you're playing online, because you might flick your stick to do a move, and in the midst of the animation loading up to happen, somebody might reach. So now they're trying to steal the ball from you and might get a steal, even though you already did the input to do the crossover to get by your defender. So it just creates too much problems for the offensive player as they're playing the game. Now for this part of the video, I want to talk about the 2K cycle, and I'm going to give a few insights, and these insights are going to kind of show how 2K can unintentionally be disingenuous when it comes to making this authentic basketball simulation that they've spoken about. And 2K acknowledges the challenge that it takes, to make a game that's realistic while also still trying to make it fun and enjoyable. But the insights that I'm going to give are way past just the challenge of balancing, in my honest opinion. So the first thing I want to start off in the 2K cycle, we're going to start off in August, around a month before the game comes out, right? In 17, 19, 22, and 23, at least that I have proof of, in all four of these games, there was either a stamina nerf for over dribbling or a new fatigue or stamina model that was being introduced into the game, right? And usually when this news comes out, some people will catch wind of this and get excited for the game and be on some like, oh yeah, now the comp is gonna have to finally switch it up and, you know, do something different, and now there's gonna be a lot less cheese and we're gonna see a lot more real basketball. So now once the game finally comes out, what usually happens? The guards aren't really able to move as much, you know, they're getting boxed up as more. The defense is really, you know, shining throughout the game. So after the first few weeks, maybe a month at most, what ends up happening? The guards end up hitting 99 overall, finding the most effective moves to get them open. They got their double Gatorade, they probably got their badges, and maybe there's a cheesy mechanic that they done found and they're able to, you know, do everything that they want to do, right? So then this raises a question for me. If this is a game that cares about, you know, authentic basketball simulation, why would they go out their way to nerf stamina or to introduce a new fatigue model or stamina system to balance everything out, right? Just to still allow and have Gatorade in the game for you to buy to get more stamina. That's gonna imbalance the thing that they were just working on before the game came out. Does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense. And it's because they want to condition you to keep getting Gatorade. So in my belief, I feel like it's not the realism that they care about. It's that they care about being able to profit off of the cheese or the over dribbling or whatever you want to call that side of 2K or the community. But keep listening though, this isn't the end of the cycle, right? So let's say a month or two has passed by, everybody knows the, you know, the right dribble moves to have on and whatnot. So let's take NBA 2K23 for example. What is the most broken or cheesy move in NBA 2K23? If you don't know, the most broken move in the game was the Russell Westbrook moving crossover. For those of you that aren't familiar with this move, it's basically a move where you could do a throw over crossover where you literally crossover right in front of the defender and it'll literally let you get a crab in front of the defender to where you'll be able to, you know, get a wide open shot or be able to get an open lane for a dunk. And also 95 to 98% of the time when you do this move, you don't even lose the ball. And now my issue with 2K is how can they just leave us with this obviously broken move in the game for 10, 11, 12 months and never fix it? Now, some people might make the counter argument of what if they don't even know that the Westbrook crossover is a broken mechanic in the game, which is a fair point and a fair counterpoint to make. But then when I go into my team and I see there's 100 plus 99 overall players with this same exact crossover on, it lets me know that they know it's in the game and all they care about is profiting off of this broken mechanic. Now, someone else might make a counterpoint of maybe they can't even change it. The game already came out. You know, they can't change it, so they might as well just make some bread off of it. Well, if you do your history, in 2K20, they removed an aggressive behind the back within the game. And in 2K22, they changed Damian Lillard's behind the back and they changed it and put it to Scottie Pippen's behind the back.
Now, in a recent patch, they changed the Damian Lillard behind the back to the Scottie Pippen behind the back,
which lets me know that they're able to, you know, change, remove, or alter certain animations within a package. So 2K can basically market the game as if it's realistic for only 1 month. They only market to us for 1 month in August, but then they could leave a broken mechanic or broken things in the game for 10 to 12 months. Does that sound like a fair trade-off at all? And there's one more part. This is the last part here. So after the 10, 12 months, whatever the case may be, we're back in August. So this would be pre-2K24. For those of you that don't remember what happened pre-2K24, there was a clip that came out from NBA 2K Labs, right? And it was a clip of Donovan Mitchell doing a speed boost. He did a cross launch. Somebody retweeted that, quote tweeted it, and he said, "I hate speed boosting." Mike Wang proceeds to quote tweet that and says, "The cross launch and the walk back will be nerfed in NBA 2K24. Now, when it comes to the walk back being nerfed, I have no issue with that. But when it comes to the cross launch, the fact that it's being nerfed and the person that said they hate speed boosting hasn't even tried it out or played the game yet, and you're nerfing the game because he said that, that is insane, number one. Number two, if you you go and look at the clip, the defender is literally going to the left and the offensive player is effectively crossing to the right because he's going left. It's not a matter of if the move is overpowered or not. And third, when you go and nerf that move to make it seem like the game is less cheesy, but you literally just left us with a broken Russell Westbrook moving crossover 10 months prior straight and profited it off of it too. So it's like the realism that we think that we're headed towards or we're going towards is not really what 2K stands for. Now, I say all that to say this: when it comes to the 2K community and this whole comp versus casual or realism versus cheese or whatever the case may be, no matter how much you want to go back and forth and blame the other side of the player base, understand all that does is allow 2K to not be accountable to certain things or to not even see the flaws in what they're making. So for example, we have the casual players telling comp players, you're the ones that ruin the game because you just use the same moves and the meta is broken. But in the grand scheme of things, 2K is not adding real effective moves. They're adding a whole bunch of standstill sig size ups that you can't even effectively use. And then on the other side, you have comp players telling casual players, oh, it's a skill issue, you just need to get better. But then in the grand scheme of things, 2K has made a simple thing as just going to the rim or bursting to the rim so inaccessible to a casual player, because now they have to know, oh, you need to make sure you have Kyrie Irving dribble style on. You also need to know that you have to do a same side hezzy before you speed boost. And also when you speed boost, make sure your left stick is going diagonal up so you're going downhill towards the rim. And so either way, no matter how much one side wants to blame the other side, it's 2K implementing things the wrong way or incorrectly. So at the end of the day, us as a community, we have to come together and have certain points and certain things that we need to assert to 2K so that they can be accountable. But the more that we just debate and go back and forth and blame each other, they're just going to continue to pity pat throughout the 2K cycle. They're going to make it seem like they're messing with the realism side and then leave the cheese in there, profit off of it over here in my team, and then go back to, nerfing stamina a little bit so the realistic side is okay. And then they're going to go back to, catering to the cheesing side a little bit. And it's just going to be the same thing over and over again. But if you're somebody that used to love my career back in the day and now you can't seem to take the time to play it, be sure to check out my last video to find out the reason why.